like I said, I've been 28 days in, and I think the hardest is the first couple of days. And I think that that variety that you speak of, Simon, is definitely so important. And it's been so fun because what I've realized now is that I definitely, before this, I always had like my go-to green juice. And my go-to green juice is just cucumber, celery, kale, spinach, and parsley, or some other kind of herb that I have. So maybe like um, if I have basil, if I have cilantro, like I like to throw an herb into my green juice. So those, and I usually keep it to 4 to 5 ingredients at the most. I try not to overdo it. And what's been really cool in this fast is that I've actually gotten to play with a lot of different juice recipes. I don't we usually do fruit in my when I'm not fasting. I usually don't do fruit in my regular green juice. It's that typical one I just said where it's just the cucumber celery base and then the leafy greens. So I do the kale, the spinach, sometimes Swiss chard, and then I love my herbs in my juice. But what I've gotten to play with, because like lately I wanted to feel like, I don't know, like the other day I felt like I wanted like a tomato soup. So then I don't usually ever put tomato in my juice. Because also I've had like the bad impression of the pasteurized tomato juices, like whether it's like a Bloody Mary mix or the V8 or whatever they offer on the shelves. I've always like stayed far away from them. I'm like, that's so weird. So I felt this urge the other day to just have something that felt just like more savory and like tomatoey, and so I went and I made my juice, and I did celery, cilantro, tomato, and I actually threw a bell pepper in there. And then my friend came in my house and she's like, "Did you just make salsa?" And I'm like, "No, it's my juice." So my juice was literally like a glass of this amazing juice that it was so, and it was so satisfying too. It hit the spot. And that's always the thing that's fun, when you have a craving for something and then you come up with something creative, and then it just hits the spot of exactly what your body was sort of like desiring or craving. So I've gotten to play with I usually, like, again, I don't usually do nightshades or peppers, and I'm not somebody who's like crazy. I'm like, don't eat nightshades, stay away from that. I feel like everything in moderation, especially when you're doing your awakening and releasing, you're doing your colon cleansing. I think there's still room for certain things that people might say you should stay away from, particularly like I said, the nightshades. And I usually don't juice peppers, but my favorite juice lately this past week has been pineapple, cucumber, cilantro, and jalapeno. And so I actually cut the jalapeno, take out the seeds, because otherwise it's going to be very, very hot. The heat is in the seeds. So I de-seed the jalapeno, or even if I did the bell peppers, I took the seeds out of that too. I don't just like throw it all in at once. I take out that core part, and so that has been such a great juice, because pineapple is just my favorite fruit juice when I add it in. But then to have that little kick of the jalapeno in it, and then the vibrancy of the cilantro, and that brings this wonderful light flavor in. And then you do the cucumber, and then the cucumber is obviously, it fills up the juice. It's like the bulk of the water. But things like that definitely make it easier during a juice fast. But I think what I think of that now too is that when I'm having solid foods, that is the thing I like to play with, is like, what am I feeling for? And then how do I find ways to cultivate that into a dish? So, I had this moment where I was really into just taking a bell pepper, cutting it in half, taking out that seed area, and then I would just fill it with like, I'd make a dressing. I'd make my own dressing of, I love to use Irish sea moss. I don't know if Natalia uses Irish sea moss gel, but that to me is like a great thickener, because then I can take like Irish sea moss gel and I'll just put like veggies into it. So I'll put, you know, um, kale and spinach and cucumbers, and then the sea moss gel sort of makes it a thicker consistency. And I'll take that and almost make it like a spread, and then sometimes occasionally I'll do like a sunflower seed like spread too. I'll sometimes add a little bit of that. I don't usually do them like add any kind of nuts. Those have really started to feel really dense for me. One of my friends laughed at me. She's vegan and she's like, nuts are heavy for her. I'm like, yeah, the lighter you get, the more you let go of these sandbags. Even an almond or cashew spread can start to feel a little bit heavy. They're still delicious, but it's again how you feel after you've swallowed the food that also needs to be taken into consideration. But I was really into doing peppers and then I would just do like that Irish sea moss spread with all my veggies in it, and then I just put lots of sprouts, and it would be like, I don't know, like a bell pepper, like taco, handheld tostada thing that I would just, and I could have that for nights and nights and nights in a row. And I think that that's what you start to learn, is that your body will tell you what it wants, and it won't be this pang either, because that's also been the thing too, even going through the fasting process, is like the first couple days, like maybe 4 or 5 days, it's like your body's like, what are you doing to me? There's these pangs of hunger, and then you again, that cardinal sense of ease really starts to arise above those bodily sensations of like, I need to have something now. And you start to settle in and realize like, everything's available to me, but I'm choosing right now to only have this. And I feel like when you start to do that, again, it's going to permeate every part of your life, because when you can start to do that in your diet, then you can start to do that in everything that you're doing in your life. And I think that more than anything, that's so important to know that like everything is here for us, but then it all needs a process and needs to take time to unfold. And when you're not present with where you are right now, you'll feel like, oh, I should be ahead on this project. I should be doing this, or I should be, I should be eating something because my body thinks it should be having it. And instead, it's like, no, I want to give myself a chance to just be right where I am. And right now, I want to rest my digestion, or right now, I want to take a little bit more time to think about this creative project, and maybe an even better idea will come to me. It's seeing how all things are connected, and they all kind of unfold in similar ways. Like I always say, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And so the more you can see how what we do on a dietetic and bodily level is going to unfold the same way, in the way we creatively make things happen, the way we collaborate with other people, it's nice to know that once you start to get the reins and your sovereignty and your power in a safe space, because that's the thing too, we all have power, but it's like, where is it? Is it all over? It's scattered? Are we just shooting off at people? That's why people go through the world, and we blow up on other people, we get angry, we get frustrated, but it's like, that's just sputtering out your power into places that they don't need to be. And the beautiful thing about this whole process of, even just as simple as you said, creating more variety every day, that's power, that's creative power, because you're now deciding, what am I going to have, how do I want to have it, how am I going to put it together. And it becomes you taking your creative powers, your creative energy, and honing it, and directing it in a way that feels really, really nice. And you start with food, and then it, like I said, it unfolds into everything else, the way you work, the way you interact with others, and it just becomes this holistic experience.